The piano is probably one of the most recognizable musical instruments of all time, from the works of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart to that one Asian kid that will always be better than you in every way, shape, or form. It's no doubt that the piano has been a musical symbol for a very long time. And being that I've practiced the piano for a little over 3 minutes so far, I think it's fair to say that I'm very interested in the history of this wonderful instrument. And it turns out the history of the piano is a long and tedious one. So let me break it down for you in a monkey perspective. We should start with the term keyboard instruments, being that the main way to play such an instrument is by the form of keys that are arranged in a row. With this information, the piano actually originated all the way back to the 3rd century BC. Yes, you heard that right. The invention of the piano originates all the way back to the 3rd century, and also it doesn't have the same sound as the piano we have today, for it can be described more similarly to an instrument called the organ. You see, organs are basically just a row of flutes that are played by blowing air into them, and someone controls which flutes play via a keyboard to get specific sounds or notes to play a song. The first instance of an organ is by Sibelius of Alexandria, a Hellenistic scientist in Greece, where he developed an instrument called the hydraulis. The way it works is basically taking a body of water, a waterfall for this example, and harvesting the force with a water wheel, where it cranks an air tank that would pump air continuously to the flutes or pipes of the said organ. Alright, everyone is ready to sing. Now where is Bob? I hate to tell you this, ma'am, but Bob died from choking on a crow. Oh man, now that Bob is dead, who's gonna crank air to get that organ playing? Hold on, my lady. Listen, hear me out. How about water? Yes! The design was seen again in another instrument invented in the 14th century. In Italy, the home of good pizzas and cooking rats, the clavichord and the harpsichord were invented. A man by the name of Bartolomeo Cristofori, who was an expert harpsichord maker, was employed by the Prince of Tuscany as the keeper of instruments. God damn, what a name. For those people who don't know how a harpsichord works, it's essentially a guitar in a keyboard format, where its strings are plucked to make a specific sound which is played via a keyboard. Much like a guitar played by plucking the strings with a pick for the strings to give a specific sound. He was trying to invent an instrument with the knowledge he already knew from harpsichords, and in 1700 came up with an instrument called un cimbalo di cipresso di piano e forte. This was the first case of the word piano being used. Eventually they named it piano forte, but for some reason switched it into forte piano? You know, this piano forte name thing doesn't seem to be working too well. It just feels too long to say. What if we just take out the forte, sir? Are you crazy? Forte is such an important term for this instrument. How dare you try and ruin it? I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. You know what? How about this? Forte piano. Isn't that just a 2-word switch place? Soon enough, they made it piano because they realized that the forte didn't really need to be there. Since the piano was a relatively new invention, it was unknown to the public until a writer by the name Scipione Maffei wrote an enthusiastic article which spread like wildfire, which later caused innovations for the piano to explode. One of these is by the man named Gottfried Silbermann, who was an organ builder, copied Christopher's version of the piano with one extra addition: the sustain pedal. Now, for those people who are watching this and don't know what a sustain pedal is, I honestly don't blame you, because it took me nearly a year to realize that there was a thing that you use your foot in this instrument. But also, I have never told you how a piano actually works in the first place. If you remember from last time, a harpsichord creates the sound by plucking the strings. Now, the piano is essentially the same setup, but instead of plucking the strings, it would hit it with a hammer. This allows you to have a soft or hard sound, rather than having a static volume every time you hit a key. You also might notice that there's this blue thing at the top, because if the string is hit or plucked, the sound would continue on and on, which can make the sound very muddy. To fix this, they have devised a dampener which would slowly dampen the vibrations of the string. Gottfried added the option for you to lift the dampeners by holding a pedal with your foot to get a much more sustained sound. Silbermann actually showed this to Johann Sebastian Bach in 1730, but was like, "No, man, that funny looking organ is all whack," saying that the higher notes are too soft, which doesn't allow his full dynamic range that he needs for his pieces. He came back in 1747 with an improved version, and Bach liked it so much that he actually turned into a marketing agent for this piano, featuring that it can play soft and loudly. We're now going to get into the world of firms. And this is not the sign of a good avocado or a nice German sausage. Rather, a firm is a business structure primarily ran by a partnership of 2 or more people that offer products and services. If you want to distinguish between a company and a firm, I think that will be a video for another day. But for now, we're going to be talking about a lot of firms that service the piano. A firm called the Broadwood Firm actually liked the shape of the harpsichord, wanted to design the piano to fit inside a harpsichord case. This is actually the origin of the grand piano, and he achieved it in 1777. It gained a quick reputation due to how loud and robust it sounds compared to other pianos. They even sent it to Haydn and Beethoven. They were also the first piano to have more than 5 octaves, with 6 in 1810 and 7 octaves in 1820. There were also these Vienna-style pianos, which are actually the kind of pianos that Mozart started playing with, which are preserved in museums to keep the sounds of Mozart's pieces authentic. Due to the differences in the style of piano, there was actually a pretty big competition between Broadwood, offering a bigger and more robust sound, and the Viennese pianos, with a very elegant and soft sound. Zooming to the 1820s, the piano innovation started to shift into Paris, where the Pleyel firm started making pianos that were used by Chopin, and the Erard firm, used by Liszt. In 1820, have made another innovation to the piano called the double escapement action, which incorporates a repetition lever. This allows you to repeat a note multiple times without it going completely up, which is a feature that you would hear in Franz Liszt's songs. Then we had another firm in 1834 by the name Webster and Horsfall of Birmingham, who started making piano wire out of cast steel instead of copper or iron. And then in 1840 by the Viennese firm of Martin Miller was like, "Hey, nice wire you got there." Oop, mine now. And they made a much better version of the piano wire. This actually caused a domino effect of multiple firms trying to make the best piano wire that there were literal competitions to see who can make the best wire. With all these innovations from each other, ended up creating the piano wire we see today. With these innovations, the piano needs to now be stronger than ever before due to the wire being able to withstand much more tension. They had to make something more robust, so they have decided to make pianos with a full iron frame in 1843. With this new reinforcement, the frame can now withstand over 20 tons of tension. To put that in perspective, an average car weighs 2 tons. So a normal modern grand piano is holding the tension of equivalent to about 10 cars. Now that is what I like to call grand tension. Okay, I'm not adding that. That's pretty much it for the history of the piano. Everything pretty much ended until the 19th century, with the only big innovation was the creation of MIDI, where they started using samples as sounds with the invention of the speaker and the microphone, but that will be another story for another day. Thank you for watching, and have a nice monkey day.